going? I am going to be teaching you social studies again today. And we are going to continue with our tools of geography lesson, okay? So I am going to actually have you pause this video and open up your tools of geography day 1 because we're going to correct it together. And what I mean by correcting is we're just going to tweak it if we need to and make sure we have the right answers for those vocabulary words that you filled out. So I want you to think, did you fill out those 4 vocabulary words? If you did and you completed day 1, pause this video now. You're going to open it up, okay, on a different tab so you can still hear me talking, or if you want, you can have 2 tabs open so you can hear me talking and you can also correct your Google Doc. And while I'm talking, you can just type and change the answers if you need to. Okay, so I am going to ask you to pause this video if you haven't already and open it up. Okay, so I'm assuming you have your tools of geography page open, so let's take a look at it. So your day 1 assignment was just filling out these vocabulary terms. Okay, so this is what yours looked like until you filled it in. I'm going to show you what it should look like. Now I put my font in red so you can make sure that you check yours with this answer. You obviously don't have to change it to red, but go ahead and tweak it if you need to, and you can just change it. You don't have to change it a color or anything. Just go ahead and change your answers if you need to, so you have the correct vocabulary words. And these vocabulary words are so important for us when we learn about Colorado geography and into Colorado history too. Okay, so our first word was geography. So you should have something along the lines as geography means the study of Earth and how people changed it. Okay, so if you need to tweak that one, you can pause this and tweak it. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the continent vocabulary word. So continents are big land areas, and there are 7 of them in the world. And you guys even researched a fun fact about each continent earlier this school year. So the continent that we live in is North America. Other continents are Asia, South America, Australia, Africa, Europe, and Antarctica. Okay, if you didn't list the continents here, go ahead and pause the video, and it's just good to have that information written down. So make sure you write down each continent as well. All right, and then grid. So a grid is a tool that helps us find places in a state, continent, or an exact location on some sort of space. And specifically, when we start talking about grids, we're going to talk about latitude and longitude too. You're actually going to learn about longitude and latitude in the next part, and you actually already read about it as well. So I will go over that in a second. Let's finish our vocabulary words here. So symbol is the last vocabulary word. So symbols are ways to keep things simple. Okay, symbols stand for certain things on a map. They could stand for cities, rivers, airports, capitals, and other things. Often on maps, you will see a star. If we're looking at a map of the United States, that star means it's the capital of the state. And our capital, why don't you go ahead and say it out loud if you know it right now? And we'll see if you're right. Capital of Colorado is Denver, just to the north of us. Okay, and then the rest of the assignment you're going to finish today. So you already read those pages 4 through 13, but if I were you, I would still open up your book, because if you notice, I listed what pages you'll find the answer on. So I would still open up that PDF of the Colorado story, which looks like this. Okay. And it's just a PDF. You can't type on it, but it's just like an online book. Okay. Let's go back to our questions actually. So question number 1 says, what latitude and longitude lines in degrees make the borders of Colorado. There are 4. Okay, so you're going to have 4 numbers written down. You want to read page 10 and 11 carefully. You will find the answer in 2 different paragraphs. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go to page 10. Oh, that's 11. Here's 10. So if you read this very carefully, it tells you exactly what the latitude and longitude numbers are, okay? If you don't know how to make this fancy degree symbol, don't worry about it. You can just write out degrees, okay? This map is also really cool because it also shows you the lines of latitude and longitude. So if you read this carefully, you know that latitude lines go east and west. Okay, they go across. Okay. So if we're looking at the globe, there are these lines that go across, and then lines of longitude go north to south. Okay. Longitude lines run north to south. So if we get a zoomed in picture of our state, you can see the lines of latitude and the lines of longitude. And it almost reminds me of Beat the Clock, how when you're completing Beat the Clock, it's where those 2 squares meet. That's the number. That's how latitude and longitude work as well. So if I look, like if I want to find this point right where these 2 lines cross, I would look up and it would be at 180 degrees. Okay, up here. And this actually would be 108 degrees west. And then over here, I have 40 degrees north. Okay, so that's where those 2 lines intersect. If that's confusing to you, don't worry, because we're going to do more work on latitude and longitude in class. But for that question, for that purpose, if you actually read these paragraphs, it tells you exactly what the lines of latitude and longitude are. Okay? Remember, for that question, there are 4 numbers you need here. So 4 numbers, okay? And they're all degrees. And you can tell me whether they are north or west, okay? All right. And then if we go down to this question here, on page 7, you will find several different kinds of maps. Explain what the 3 maps are used for below. How would you use them to help you in real life? Okay, so if we go to page 7, got to backtrack here. Here are those 3 maps, okay? This information tells you about those 3 maps, so make sure you read that carefully. And tell me how those maps are used and maybe how you would use them in real life. What could it help you with? All right. And let's go back to almost done here. Let's see. Okay, day 2, right here. Using the maps at the back of your book, find each of these places and sort them into the appropriate column. Okay, so since you don't have the back of your book, you just have that PDF. You can Google search a map of the United States if you need to, or a continent map as well. But if you take a look at these, I bet you will know most of them without even looking at a map. Okay. So these are either states, countries, and continents. And as I'm looking at these states, countries, and continents, I think you should know all of these without even looking it up. But if you need to do a little research, go for it. All right, and then the last question you need to do, it says put these words in order from smallest to largest, then tell me where you live. An example is done here for you. So the smallest thing on here is the city. If you do not live in Castle Pines, you're going to delete this and you're going to put the town where you live or the city where you live. I know some of you live in Castle Rock. Some of you live in Sedalia. Some of you maybe live in Parker. So just go ahead and change that if you need to. Okay, and then you're going to put them from smallest to largest. One of them that you might not know, and no, this is not a typo. This is county. Okay, now that's different than a country. So a county is an area of a state. Okay, so hopefully that's a big clue for you. We'll even give you one more clue. The county that we live in is Douglas County. Okay, so hopefully that helps you put county in order. But I think the rest are pretty self-explanatory. But as always, if you need to research, you can. Okay, one little hiccup on this one. We don't have your whole book, so you're not doing the wrong thing if you don't look at the back of your book, because forgot you don't have this lovely textbook at home. Okay, but as always, if you need to research, go for it. All right, guys, I know you guys are just going to rock this today and you're going to put in your best effort. Hopefully you just need to reread those sections. I tried to help you out and put the page number on some of those sections. And we're just going to be rocking and rolling today. All right, so let me know if you have any questions. You can always send me an email if you are wondering something. But remember, our goal is to problem solve. I know you guys can do it. All right, have a good Friday.